Your video.
Thank you. Hello and welcome back to the Whenever We Want podcast, because we never have a schedule. This is a podcast episode you get whenever we want.
Every once in a while.
I have a bunch of talking points, and then we have some questions we're going to go over, kind of the normal thing, and just expand on it. We just got finished with our run. We went running for the first time in a hot minute.
Well, okay, I ran last week, but...
Yeah, I ran earlier this week, but
we've lost it.
We have lost it, and we indeed need to get back to it. Our half marathon selves are not currently present.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't want to talk about it, honestly.
My talking points are so all over the place. First, I want to talk about the fact that last time I left here, my engine overheated on the way.
Okay, yeah.
And Kayla had to come pick me up and take me to my house because I was stranded. And my dad was in North Carolina when he thought he was in Georgia. And my mom lives 2.5 hours away. So
that was fun.
It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
But, you know, your car's good now.
It's decent now. Uh-oh. So this happens, right? My car overheats. I have to pull over to the side of the road. My car's smoking. And I'm like, okay, this is terrifying. You come pick me up, take me home, whatever. I am home and I can't do anything till the afternoon till my coworker's family comes to help me look at the car. And so I go to take a shower. I'm like, I need to at least do laundry. Like, I still have stuff to do. I don't have time to sulk in this.
Right,
I don't have time to be stressed about this.
Yeah.
I looked down at my phone and I said, wait a second. It's July 28th. That is the exact date that I totaled my car last year.
I know. You called me.
Yeah.
You're freaking out.
Is that not crazy? So, if anyone wants to know, I will not be available for any July 28th ever for the rest of my life. I will not be going anywhere, doing anything. So, don't text, don't call. I will be sitting at home. That's about it. If anyone wants to give me a ride, that's your luck you're testing. I'm trying to make sure we get to the fun, interesting things before I go really in deep about some things.
I honestly didn't even look at these. I'm kind of scared, but I'm also excited.
No, it's totally fine. Okay, this is a stupid brain rot thing.
Can you read that?
Yeah. I tried to make it bigger and I couldn't.
But you can read that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. My vision is going out.
Okay.
Oh dear. Dude, I'm 21. This is stupid.
Isn't it crazy that we get, just listen to me, isn't it crazy that we get born to these random people and then they literally make all of our choices for us, legally. They legally own us. That's quite literally what being a parent is. They actually own us.
What about the fact of a woman birthing a child? That's
that's a whole thing we don't have to unpack, and that's my biggest fear ever. But it's we don't get to choose who our literal owners are. And they get to make all of our decisions for us until we're 18 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just these people, and it's they're our parents, but do we really know them? You know what I mean?
I would hope so. I would hope you know your parents.
Literally take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt.
If I'm in my mother's womb for 9 months, that woman knows me, okay? Okay? I think we have different point of views on that.
No, I just literally had this thought the other day, and I was just that's kind of crazy. It's so, obviously far-fetched. It's the earth flat theory. We're
not getting in that. Please, not let that.
I don't know literally anything about that.
Okay.
Oh, I have had a really big problem saying the word finna. I'm finna do something. And it's the most disgusting thing that has ever left my mouth. And I don't know why it keeps happening.
Where did that come from?
I have no idea. I have caught myself doing it multiple times. And it's I can't do it in person. But yesterday, I caught myself doing it and I didn't say anything because I knew I wanted to talk about it. But it's a problem.
I just want to know where it came from. It's obviously someone you're watching. I must say it.
Absolutely no idea.
You absorb what you're around. You definitely heard someone else say it, and then it stuck with you.
Yeah, but it needs to quit. It needs to quit ASAP.
Can I, pray over you or something?
Pray over your vocabulary usage?
Yeah. Yeah. Lord, control her tongue.
Okay, now we're getting into some deeper topics. We'll keep it light to begin with. I have a really bad issue of crying over TikTok and specifically people accomplishing things that they've worked so hard for. So the Boston Marathon is, I cry more during the Boston Marathon era of life than I do any other era. Have I ever ran the Boston Marathon? Absolutely not. But watching these videos of these people just like so emotional over finishing something that I just know they've worked so hard at makes me so like emotional for them. I went down a deep dark hole of Dancing with the Stars the other night at work, and I like started getting teary-eyed because I was watching this girl who had won last season, and she was just like so emotional, and I just know she worked so hard, and I was so happy for her. And I'm like, Laura, you have a problem. You're crying over things like this, but like not normal things. And it's like, I remember I told you, I looked at the photos after we did our half marathon. That woman that was like eons above us, that was like the number one or whatever. Yeah. Her photo of her winning, I like made me tear up. I was like, I'm so happy for you, and I don't even know you.
I didn't even see it.
I stalked like all of them. It was really cool. I went back to school because I was feeling stupid.
What?
I partly, not all, but I partly went back to school because I literally felt myself getting dumber. Like I would speak and I literally felt like not being in school was rotting my brain. Like not that I wanted to be in school, but there's things that I feel intelligent about, like when it comes to like emotional intelligence and like social media and stuff. Like there's things that I feel intelligent about, but like overall, I genuinely felt like I was getting stupider. This was like a crisis I had.
If you're not like absorbing knowledge, then like, yeah, like you're not learning anything new and you're just staying stagnant, then I get that. Like if you're not reading anything outside, if you're not doing school and you're not like reading on your separate time to learn about something new, then obviously you're going to feel that way.
It was like I was doing really cool things and I felt like I was like living life, but I just felt like I was getting dumber. I felt like my brain was not working as well. And I was like, how am I stupider now than I was at like 15 years old? But we're fixing that. We're currently in the process of undoing that situation.
Stupider?
Is that not a word? Don't tell me that's not a word.
Siri?
But I think it's more stupid. I think you're right. Like, I really think
I mean, I'm just like, I don't want to like get ahead of myself here, but is stupider a word? I was like, do I tell her? Do I not?
No, you tell me.
Stupider
is grammatically correct.
See, I didn't want to.
It's a real word. Yeah, and it's been in use for at least the last 200 years.
Okay, Grammarly, calm down. 200 years, really?
Oh, well, that was a save. This is a little bit deeper. I was thinking about this the other day because what?
Finding Arizona guy on Facebook. What is that?
Okay, I was gonna like skip that
one. I'm like, what? Did I read that right?
Yeah, so I don't think I ever told you about this. So we know how I have like a really good skill of just like finding people on the internet very easily. You know? Yeah. And it's a lot of times it's like just a curiosity thing. I find them and I never think about them again. Like I'm never going, but like I'm not that interested, you know? But I don't even know if I'll keep this in. But when I was in Arizona with my mom like 2 years ago, we were at this restaurant and we were sitting at this table and then there was a booth on the other side. And it was pretty far apart. Like I would say if I'm sitting at the table, this booth doesn't start till your wall. Like these aren't shoved close together. It's like these 3 dudes, they're getting drinks, having dinner, whatever. It's just me and my mom. And one of them dropped something. And me being me, I bent down to pick it up and hand it to him. And of course, they're having drinks or whatever. So one of them said something dumb like, wow, you have long arms. It's like, okay, whatever. Whatever. One of them, not this one. The next day, we were going on this like ATV tour. And the office that we had to like meet at was in this strip of, like a strip of stores. And there was a hardware store next to it. And so I was like, I really have to use the restroom. We were the first group to go out on the ATV tour, so it wasn't open yet. So I was like, let me just run into this hardware store to use the bathroom. So I walk in, and one of the guys that was at the table next to us, not the one that said that to me, was working there actively. He was like right there as soon as I walked in. So it's like, okay, that's kind of crazy. It's a small town, though. It was in Page, Arizona, which is like really only Horseshoe Bend. That's like what people go there for. Everything else, there's not much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, walking to the bathroom. He somehow happens to curve and be walking behind me. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. This is weird. I'm just trying to use the bathroom. As I'm walking towards the bathroom, one of his like coworkers calls after him and is like, hey, Jack, or something like that. I literally don't even remember his name. Like Jake, Jack, something of the sort. And so he turns around to go help one of his coworkers. I use the bathroom. I leave. I mind my own business. And my mom has to use the restroom. So I'm sitting in the car and I'm like, oh, let me see if I can find this guy on the internet just for shits and gigs. And I did in like 5 minutes. And it was really, really easy. And I found his Instagram, his Facebook, and I never thought of him ever again. I just thought of that story and I thought it was funny.
Social media. It's crazy.
It's crazy how much of your life is out there.
Yeah, that's actually scary.
Oh my God. I didn't tell you this. My drawing class, this is related, I swear. They were looking up information about my professor in front of him to his face and then reporting information about him. She pulled up pictures of him with his family, cited a number, and he goes, yeah, if you want to call my mom, Judy. Like citing a telephone number, like finding his information, like from his graduate, like what year he graduated. He was laughing about it, but I'm like, I could tell he was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, you know what? I understand. Your information is all out there. We all know this. But to speak about it to someone's face.
I've had that happen in class.
Is crazy.
Before. Yeah. It's just like people our age just.
Like they literally were finding all this information about him and he was like, yep, that's my sister. That's my brother. I'm like, this poor man who doesn't have any pets. He's not married. He's a little art professor vibing. Okay. I don't know. I felt so bad for him. I was like, that's crazy.
That is nuts. So uncomfortable. I would be like, okay, can we like actually talk about like education and not me?
Well, and it's like, he's a professor too. So that's so hard. I feel like.
Yeah.
But we have and I think about it too. We have so much of the internet.
Oh yeah.
Our digital footprints are bad.
I know. Anyways, let's keep going. Oh geez, I'm slouching.
I was thinking about this the other day and just how beautiful it is to feel fully understood by someone, whether that is platonically or romantically, just like for lack of better words, like not, oh, so I'm not crazy. Like, oh, so I'm not the only one feeling this. Oh, so I'm not alone in this. Like feeling genuinely understood by someone where to the point that they don't question how you react to things because it makes sense to them. It's just so beautiful.
I feel like that also just comes along with how long you know the person too.
And I like don't agree.
Really?
At least in my experience, like I have friends that I've had for longer, but like my mind specifically goes to Tessa, and it's like we almost instantly have just always been on the same page. Like we somehow are always in the same mood. No, we didn't. Oh. We met when I was 16 and she was 21 or 22.
I thought you were younger than that.
No, that's Eden. Eden, okay. We met when we were like 12.
Okay.
But like me and Tessa, like it was one of those things we have always been on the same page about everything. When whatever mood we're in, like we're always in the same mood. We're always feeling the same way. We're almost always on the same page about everything. Like I don't think we've ever argued about what to do or how we're feeling. Like I don't know. It's just really interesting. Like if I have to pee, she has to pee. Like quite literally, we're in sync at all times.
I don't think I've ever experienced that, but.
Well, you will one day. It's just not your time yet. I don't know. I just think it's really beautiful, and I hope that everybody is able to experience it genuinely.
Oh, that's sweet.
Because it does really make you feel seen in a different way that, like, other relationships and friendships might not. Not that that makes them any less. I think they all, like, have value to them and bring honestly, I feel like different challenges.
So, like, they know me inside out. So.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It could be a parent. Like, it could be a parent who just fully understands everything and like doesn't make you feel alone in your reactions to things, like completely understands where you're coming from and why you're doing those things. And the people who don't look at you crazy when you cope with things through jokes and, you know, like, and that's just an example, but absolutely. I think it's very beautiful. Another thing too is the weight of like living back in a small town or like your hometown after kind of going out and seeing the world, which obviously we've lived very different lives in the trajectory of that. But at least in my experience, like going out and seeing the world and seeing all that there is to offer, and then having to come back to like small town Georgia, like obviously I'm very grateful that I have somewhere that I am able to come back to, but it is just a very peculiar experience to live somewhere and grow up somewhere that can feel so limited and so like boxing and like enclosed, and then go and see what else the world has to offer and then be put back into that space again is very, very odd. Like knowing what it means to live a full life and live somewhere that reflects you through and through, and to be immersed in an environment and around people who really make you the best version of yourself, and then to retreat back to that like past environment with this almost new self is just such an odd push and pull feeling.
Yeah. Well, I can relate in like some ways when I go back home. Like when I was home for 2.5 weeks, I was like, this is lovely and all, and like I love my home, and like I am so blessed to have been able to even call that my home. But like living back with my parents, oh my gosh, I cannot do it. And I felt like I was suffocating there.
Yeah.
Because I am in my own little paradise here, and like I'm growing, I'm learning here on my own. So to like go back to the place where I grew up, it's really not the same. It's really not. And I thought that it would, but it's so weird to go back home. And then I just feel like I'm in this box once again. So like, even though I grew up in like the most amazing place on this earth, truly, like I can't go back there. So I do relate in the same, that same sense.
Yeah. And it's like, I know when I go back to places I've lived before, at least the smaller towns, like nothing has changed. The same people are like, oh my gosh, like I had this when I went back to the gym for the first time in a year. I'd worked at a gym, went back for the first time in a year, and I walked in and I knew every single person in there. It was the same people that I would see every single day. It was the same people working out. It was the same people in that one machine.
Yep.
In their same t-shirt that they wore over a year ago, in the same outfit, the same attitude, the same walk. Like it was crazy. It was like, it was just, I was just such a different version of myself returning back to there. And then to walk around and feel like I was literally slurped back into a time capsule was so odd, because I feel like, especially over this past, what is it, end of August, like really the last year has been a very pivotal point in not what I'm doing with my life, but my personality, and just like that developing as I get older. And I don't know, there's some song that's something about some things never change.
No, they don't.
It's outgrowing, but it's like outgrowing an environment that you constantly get shoved back into.
Right.
So that's suffocating, and I'm sorry for anyone else who has to experience that.
No comment on that.
No, I feel like we're both on the same page for sure.
I mean, but I would go back home. That's the thing. Like I would like start a family there, just not living with my parents. Like that season of my life is over with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we have different experiences.
Yeah.
For sure. I put a thing on here that says niche East Coast things. No idea what I was referring to. No clue, not even a little bit.
Start opening parentheses.
Yeah, clearly, because I have no idea what I was talking about. It was probably after I came back from California, which we filmed together since then. Yeah, so I don't know what I was talking about.
Last time we filmed was when I had that green set. And
yeah,
you had your green shirt.
We were
matching.
I was about to say we were greened out.
Okay,
that's not correct.
Yeah.
It's not true. No. Shall we move on to some questions? Do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, let's just go.
If you could give your 16-year-old self some advice, what would you say?
Don't freak out about what's going to happen in 2 years. That's it. Don't freak out. Just let it be. Let it happen. I have to be vague about that.
I would say that trust the process and nothing lasts forever.
Right. And just enjoy where you are now and soak in as much of it as you can. Yeah, because that's really when I started getting anxiety. That was like controlling me. So yeah, just letting things flow instead of trying to control everything.
Yeah, I think mine was a lot of that of trust yourself, and you're making bad decisions that are going to teach you lessons in the future. So, not saying go make bad decisions, but live your life. You'll figure it out.
16 was one of my like best years. 16 through 18, I had a blast. I did so much. I learned so much.
Yeah.
I met so many people, and that's when my like personality started to blossom too.
Absolutely.
I started to understand like who I truly was, and like also like driving, like getting like that was such a turning point.
I definitely feel like 16 through 18 was the most pivotal point in my life, but also the second most traumatic time of my life, like the most difficult time. Like it was equally simultaneously both of them. It taught me so much, but I also went through so much. So I think it's very beautiful. Who were the 3 most influential people in your life? And let's talk about it.
My mother.
Yes.
My stepmom. My mom.
Mm-hmm.
1. Honestly, my ex-boyfriend. And should I say my first boyfriend? And probably my sister.
Those are some great 3. Do you want to expand on that at all?
I would say that my mother has taught me everything that I know now. She has taught me how to treat people. She has taught me how to properly love others. She has taught me how to stand up for myself, how to not care in certain situations. My first boyfriend, he just taught me truly like how to be treated. Like he showed me like what is proper. And honestly, he also influenced my photography so much. So like he influenced my passions. He kind of influenced like my personality, like pushing me out of my bubble, which honestly helped me so much in the long run. And then my sister, she's just like my big sister. I really don't have much to like cap on that other than the fact that she like
she was with you. She was by your side. Yeah,
supporting
absolutely.
me, taking me places. She definitely introduced me to new hobbies as well. So yeah. What about you?
I would say my mom in pieces. I think she taught me what it means to be able to be independent and to like do it yourself. Like she has always just done not always, but since like these later years where she's really come into her independence and like doing the things that she's wanted to do and doing it because she wants to do it and figuring it out herself, and buying a camper and just figuring out how to work it. Never used one in her life and saying, I'm going to figure it out. And just like doing things because they make her happy and she can figure it out herself. And she's always had power tools. She bought herself a nice drill for her birthday last year. Like,
I love that.
Like just, which I think there's positive and negatives to it, but just like never pretending that, or never making me feel like I need anyone but myself to get things done.
Independence.
Yes, independence for sure. I don't really feel like I have a say in like which friend. I feel like my core close friends, especially those that I've had for longer, all influence me in different aspects of my life. I feel like influence may not be the right word, but encouragement. Like they have just accepted me no matter what I feel or think. And I think that has influenced me to chase the things that I'm passionate about. And I've talked about it before, but like one of my really close friends, Liv, really like indirectly showed me what confidence was and what that means to be a confident person, and like almost imprinted that into me without even doing anything. And that was like one of the bigger things. And there's layers to that, because there was also a situation that happened before that like kind of made me enter into that space and made me feel that way. And it was a confidence that I had not had before, and like was kind of subconscious. And then living with her kind of heightened that feeling, and she kind of took that and ran with it, again, without even realizing it.
Yeah.
But I would also say, again, and this is so not like a specific person, but just like social media, but in like the best way. Like social media really, when I first started posting, I've been posting on social media since 2021, like pretty consistently and like trying, which is crazy. And like I have way too much lore on the internet, but just seeing other people on the internet, because I didn't have those people in my small town who reflected the things that I loved and I was creative about, seeing the other people on the internet like do similar things and be creative in that way really influenced me to reach outside the box and continue to like go reach for those things.
Yeah, of course.
So
I would say I tie in with that too, 100%. Yeah. My sister also made me an Instagram when I was in kindergarten. So
that's amazing.
I still have it.
Oh my God.
It's on Instagram.
I had one in like 4th and 5th grade, and I don't have it anymore. It's on the internet. My profile picture is me on a 4-wheeler in Tennessee. We don't have to talk about it.
On a 4-wheeler. I love that. But yeah, so like my siblings really got me into social media, and like I've been doing social media for so long too.
Yeah.
Not like you, but I have been posting.
Yeah.
So like since I was in kindergarten, like that's crazy. When I tell people that, they're like, "What? Like, did you even have a phone?"
No, it makes me so sad to hear how many people have negative experiences with it.
Yeah,
because like it's genuinely changed my life for the better.
Yeah, agreed.
And I don't make money from it. Like I don't make money from it.
And I get asked that too all the time if I get money, and I'm like, no, I just post because I enjoy it. Like,
well, and it might be too like having a larger following. People assume that, but it's like I don't make money from it, and I don't have a large following, and I've been doing it for 3 years, and I just have fun with it. And I could yap about it.
Social media is a great tool.
Oh my God.
But some people don't use it as a tool.
Absolutely.
They use it as their life.
Yeah. And it's okay. Now that we're on the subject, I'm going to say this because it's really deep, but I've been thinking about it, and I was going to make a TikTok about it, but I was a little nervous too. Sometimes I feel like, and let me make sure I word this right. Sometimes I feel like my personality what I post on social media is my personality, and not my personality is what I post on social media. And I think we've talked about this before because you've told me I'm incorrect, but I oftentimes have a little bit of an identity crisis because sometimes I feel like I have no personality. But then I have to remind myself that like social media is my creative outlet and hobby.
You have to. Oh, look at her. She's laying on her leg. Okay, anyways. Sorry, she's my child.
No, it's fine. I think because social media is my main hobby and it takes up so much of my time and like my creativity, I sometimes find my
Alexa, stop.
I sometimes find my personality in that. But it's like I have to remind myself that like some people's personality stems from normally your personality stems from the things you enjoy.
I think what you're surrounded by.
And I think that's why it's so difficult for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like who I am is not what I'm surrounded by. You know?
It's who you surround yourself with, who you communicate with.
Yeah, with the people, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I just have an identity crisis.
Whatever you let your eyes and ears consume too, like shapes you.
Yeah.
It does. 100%.
I don't know. I sometimes just think like, I kind of like don't know what I would do or who I would be without social media.
I love social media, and that's not good.
because I enjoy it so much. Like, I think I would still be myself, but like, I think this is what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't have to find another vessel for all of that.
Right.
That's what I mean by that is like, I could not take that piece of me away and still be myself. I would need to redirect it into something else, whatever that may be. So that I should have worded it better initially, but like, I think if that was pulled, like that access was pulled away and like less, when I say social media, we're not talking followers. We're not talking likes. We're not talking saves.
No, you're just talking about what
the curation. Yeah, the curation of
I get it.
The Instagram posts and all of that is something I enjoy so heavily. And I think if I like bring Visco back.
Oh my gosh, I tried downloading that yesterday. I have it like on my home screen, but you know when it like undownloads and you use it for a while? Yeah, and it wouldn't do it, but
like I loved a little Visco moment.
Yeah, that was fun.
There was no like public anything, and you can make little comments to people and like little DMs to people, but like nothing was public. Like it was just such a fun curation of memories and of life.
It's just like a photo app.
Yeah.
It really is truly just to look at photos and that's it.
And that's like partly why I post, these podcasts and these vlogs and stuff is, well, actually it's the only reason I do is like, I want to be able to look back when I'm in my 30s and 40s and be like, dude, I was really cool. Like I was really cool.
I think it's cool just to have it all documented.
Yeah.
Like as is. Like I love looking at pictures and videos of when I was little with my family. Like,
I think
absolutely. That's so cool. And so that's kind of how I envision like now, like looking back on this when we're like 40 and being
exactly.
like, oh my gosh, look at us in our 20s, like talking about whatever.
Yeah. Like making really deep statements that make no sense and are like ridiculous and me just blabbing my little mouth off. I'm in the same boat. And I think too, like I posted about this before. I catch myself stalking my own social media like all the time. And it's not in a way of like, wow, like, look at me. It's like, wow, I'm so grateful to have experienced so much.
Yeah.
It truly is like a reminder of me to like, hey girl, this is not that bad. You live a beautiful life. Like it's a recentering.
Honestly, some people never even make it out of their hometown.
Yeah.
Like truly. And I've met those people before too. So
no, absolutely.
We are truly blessed. And yeah. And
I think like I romanticize my life so heavily on social media because that is like my mind escape from like my everyday. And I romanticize it not because I want people to think that I have a great life, but for me to go back and go, look at all of these beautiful things. Look at all of these beautiful things that you have encountered in this life that you get to live, and you can feel down, but you don't dwell in that,
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes we get in these ruts or these feelings and it feels like we're never going to leave it. And it's like when you have the opportunity to go and look back and go,
I have make it out of that. Yeah.
And I'll do it again.
Yeah.
And I also think too, like I look back, there's a certain week, I think, of a period in my life where I would be like, oh my gosh, that was my favorite week ever. It was perfect. All these things happened. I was living in my favorite place. It was all these favorite people, some of my best friends. And I was talking to my mom about it the other day, and she goes, Laura, you called me bawling. She was like, you were so overwhelmed. And I was like, I don't even remember that. Because all I see are all of the beautiful, photos and videos and whatever. And some people can say that that's not healthy and that you should, but to me, it's like, why would I not want to go back and like, okay, girl. I don't know. To me, I'm like, why would I not want to go look back at something and be like, only see the prettiest things? Sorry, Belle just kicked Kayla.
And then is like completely
snuggled up to me.
And she literally gave me the side eye too. Like I wish you could have seen it. She was like,
that was so funny.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know if you've felt that way before about anything, but thinking back to pieces of your life and being like, oh my gosh, like that was so fun. Like I did this and I had this picture in this video and like that was so pretty and so fun, and remembering that, and then someone going, oh, but weren't you like really sad? And you were like, actually, yeah. But like, you don't look back and see that. You look back and see.
You think about the good stuff.
The good things. And some people could call me delusional for that.
In some cases, I would say no. Sometimes like the negative situations in a specific area of my life definitely override.
Absolutely. I'm not going to forget everything.
Yes. But there has been moments where I've like forgotten about the little things that I was frustrated about or upset about. But it doesn't matter.
I think, at least in my case, it helps my optimism. Because then your mind doesn't immediately go to, what went wrong that day. It's, oh, look at all these great things that went right. And you have to really search for anything that went wrong.
I feel like that's just like my memory. That's not my social media, though.
Yeah, no, I'm referring to memory.
Oh, okay.
Like, because like, I feel like when we capture things, we're kind of like putting a second stamp into our brain 100%. Of it.
Yeah.
And so then when we go back and think about those things, we just see all of those great stamps. Yeah. And we would have to really search for anything negative that happened. Right. What were you like as a child?
You're going to roll your eyes at me.
No, I'm not.
I was an angel. I literally did nothing bad. I listened. My mom tells me this. Like, it's not me saying it. No, I know. My mom. My dad didn't deserve me is what my mom always says.
LOL.
Because my dad is so stubborn and just like a pain in the butt. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I would always listen. I never wanted to make them upset. I never cried. I always just did what they said. And that was that. I was a really good child. I was
were you like shy, extroverted? Like, did you talk to everyone?
I was a little shy. But I would try and talk to people. Yeah. I actually got bullied a lot as a kid. Mm-hmm. So like, that definitely influenced my shyness too. Because I was just never accepted. Yeah. Like ever. Which is funny to like reflect back on. But yeah, like growing up, I feel like I've always like kind of been like rejected or like people have like, not to like, okay, we're supposed to lighten the mood. This is not lightening the mood. Oh, sorry. But I was totally like bullied from kindergarten to high school by whoever. But that never stopped me. That honestly pushed me out. Like, obviously, when I was younger and I got bullied, like, I definitely shied a little bit. But I always had, like, my group. I always had, like, a girlfriend or two that I was close with. And, like, that's all I ever needed. I was never really in big groups. Yeah. I feel like I was, I knew a lot of people. Or I knew of a lot of people, but I didn't actually, like, know people. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I made a TikTok about it the other day, and I saw this girl had said, everything that made me different or weird in high school has made me interesting and cool in the real world. And I was like, isn't it crazy how the real world doesn't care?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, it truly is the thing. Like, all of the things that I would have hidden from my high school self because it wasn't cool or it was different are all the things that I'm like the most confident in.
Right, right. Well, and like that even like goes into saying like when I was in middle school and I really wanted to start pursuing modeling, I had one of my best friends at the time, like tell me to my face who was also trying to pursue modeling, like, you won't ever make it. Like, don't even try.
Just like, you're jealous.
Was like so funny because when I flew to New York, I was like, imagine if I like actually listened to her and believed the words that came out of her mouth. Like, would I be where I am today? Would I? I don't know, but funny.
It is interesting how people shape us. Yeah. The reason why I was saying lighten the mood. So I was extremely shy. I was like the shyest child you probably ever met. I like flipped in 7th grade and became very extroverted conveniently after I found a relationship with the Lord. But like my brother, not for the same reason, it could also be puberty. That like also could be a thing. He had a very similar situation where he was like extremely extroverted his entire childhood, was 2 years old, talking to the cashier at the grocery store, everything. And he flipped in the middle of middle school and is now like a much more reserved person. It's so funny because so much just checks out. Like so much checks out about who I was as a child to me right now. My mom tells me all the time, she's like, you really didn't like men. Like you really didn't like men. She was like, you literally would interact with your dad and then her dad because my grandparents would babysit me sometimes when I was little. She was like, those were really the only men that you would like be around. Like uncle tells me all the time how he like did this reverse psychology thing when I was a kid to let him read me a book or something. But she was like, you just like didn't like at all. And I was so shy. I didn't like people. Obviously I'm an extroverted person, but I'm extroverted in my little tiny bubble. But you stick me in a group of more than 4 or 5, and I'm saying maybe 2 words.
That's how I am now.
Yeah, like
if I don't know the people, I'm not speaking.
Yeah, and that's it. Like I feel like I'm extroverted with the people that I like being around and my close friends, but I feel like I'm more introverted than I am extroverted, and I feel like that shocks a lot of people because I seem extroverted on the internet, because when I'm talking to the internet, it's me. Like I'm just with me. So I feel, that comfort.
Right.
But also she said my little stroller when I was little, like I would literally sit like a starfish, like legs open, arms open. I'm like, that also checks out because when have I ever sat with my legs crossed? Like I'm never sitting politely. Like
we've had this conversation too about crossing legs. Yeah.
When I was in 4th grade, I did the fun run and the 5K. So I was a little runner girl. I was a little runner girl for a second.
Well, it's actually funny about that is you just reminded me. I always thought that I was like, I couldn't draw. Like SCAD unlocked that for me. Like that I could, like I had like a drawing ability, which I didn't know about. And like for like background for you guys, I grew up with my stepmom. I know my birth mom, but we don't talk that often, but we have been talking lately. So I had sent her recently my latest drawings, and I was like, I literally had no idea that I could draw. Like I literally couldn't draw a goldfish before I came to the school, and now I can like actually draw things. And I was talking to my birth mom about it, and she was like, oh honey, you literally never put the crayon or pencil down. Apparently I was always drawing as a kid. She sent me like 50 images of me drawing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. Well, it's funny because even like she sent me an article on my great grandma was in the newspaper for her drawings too. So it's like,
so this is a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was
That's
like,
crazy.
I had like 21 years old learning about myself. Like I literally had no idea.
Okay. What is your most embarrassing moment or memory?
The first one that comes to mind. Oh, I could go to. Okay, which one do you want to hear? Sushi date or splitting pants?
Splitting pants sounds more like relative to mine. So yeah.
Okay, so I was in elementary school. I don't know why this literally just came from like the back of my mind.
It's perfect.
Oh wow. Okay, so I had a crush on this kid named Corey. And he happened to be, this is like 3rd grade, by the way. I'm like 10 years old. My first ever crush. We are at our elementary school, like fall festival. Everyone's going down the slides, eating the cones, like throwing the bean bags. And I had just started doing cartwheels and splits and stuff like that. And so I go to this fall festival with just my father and I, which we never like did things like that. Like it was always like my mom and I, but my dad and I went this time, and we get there and I see Corey across the way throwing football. And so I wanted to impress him.
So scared for what's about to happen.
So I'm like, Dad, can we go over there a little bit? I see like my friend Savannah or whatever. I don't know. I said something along the lines of like, I see someone else over there. Yeah. And it's funny because this is literally like, this is detailed because it's so imprinted in my mind. We got over there, right? And I'm like, I have my friend with me and I'm like, hey, watch this. And like Corey's right there. And I do a split and I have jeans on. I completely split my pants. My underwear is showing.
Was it polka dot?
No, I don't remember what it was. But
probably from Justin.
My dad was talking to another dad, and I go up to him. I said, Dad, we have to leave. And he's like, why? And I showed him my pants, and he's like, oh my.
Oh my God.
Split. Like.
Oh, like all the way up. Like we weren't talking a whole.
Oh, like my whole butt crack was split. It was so bad. And I don't think I ever even talked to Corey after that. Like I had him, he went to the same high school and we had a conversation then, but like he doesn't remember. I didn't ask him, of course, but like Yeah. And he looked the same too. You know how some people grow up and
Yes.
look the exact
Yes. I get told that all the time. People look at like younger photos of me and they're like, you literally just look like that now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thanks. I don't think.
Well, yeah, I kind of look like that on the fridge. I got the little bob going.
Mine's very similar, but like, no, it's very similar actually. I was 15 though, so it's more embarrassing.
Okay.
I was a sophomore in high school and we were at this baseball game and I had this friend that we had met through mutual friends and we had become friends my freshman year of high school. We would like text all the time. We'd FaceTime sometimes. It like wasn't a thing because we couldn't drive and we lived like at this point an hour and a half from each other. And so we go to this baseball game. His team is playing my high school. And so his whole team, it's like he was on varsity or whatever. So he's sitting on the bleachers waiting for JV to get on or whatever. Okay. So I don't remember the situation. They were sitting up there. And all of my friends kept telling me, like, go over there and speak to this boy. Like, I had known him for over a year at this point, never seen him in real life, never spoken in real life. And I got my friend to come with me. I'm walking up bleachers. I'm walking towards, remind you, sitting with the whole team. Okay. Hey, how are, middle of my sentence, didn't even finish my how are you. My leg falls through the bleachers up to my literal hip, and my leg is like literally dangling under the bleachers. Like I am in the bleachers, you guys. Leg is dangling.
And that must have been loud too.
Oh, it was loud. Yeah. And my friend like literally got such bad secondhand embarrassment. It was not even funny. I felt so bad for her.
Oh my gosh.
I had a bruise, you guys.
You had a bruise?
Dude, it was like this big on my hip. Oh, no. I'll show you a photo. And it literally was ombre. It was like blue, purple, green, yellow. No. Like it was literally ombre. It was so horrible. The best part about this is, oh, I'm sorry, Bill. Bless you. The best part about this is I proceeded to get up and sit there and have a 10-minute conversation.
Seriously?
And just talked like nothing happened. And then it essentially became this running. Okay, so it turned out to be really fine and okay. We still keep up every now and then. Like we haven't talked in a few months, and there was like a period of like a year we didn't really talk, but like we're still cool. And we just joke about it all the time now, and it's totally fine. Of course. And we've been friends. I mean, that was freshman year, so it's now been almost 7 years that we've known each other, and it's still fine. And it turned into this whole big joke, and it's like, oh, but remember the time you fell through the bleachers? And it's like, it's just this running joke, but it was truly the most traumatic, embarrassing. Ow. Like imagine you're halfway through your first interaction with someone, your first sentence, through the bleachers. Whole leg dangling.
Yeah, I can only just imagine the pain of that. Like that must have hurt.
I think I just clocked out.
I'm sure you
mentally.
Did. I'm sure you did. I'm on. Yeah, 100%. But wow.
Because it was like that's right. Great. It was like right there. I'll show you the video, but
that's so painful.
I just find it funny now.
Physically, mentally, that's just painful. That is rough.
Well, thank you guys for watching another podcast episode. This one was kind of long. I feel like we had so much to talk about and it just moved really smoothly. I feel like we get better at this every time we do it.
I agree.
And I have so much fun doing them personally.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening and we'll see you whenever.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.